On this Monday night, the Prime Minister pushes back. Justin Trudeau stands by a Liberal MP accused of receiving support from Beijing.
Suggestions that he is somehow not loyal to Canada should not be entertained.
And defends Canada's democratic process. Striking a deal at long last, the proposal to fix Northern Ireland's post-Brexit problems. Dust storms, record-breaking snow, and tornadoes.
What in the world?
The brutal mix of weather battering the U.S. Plus, the cosmic discovery stunning career chemists.
We think that NASA didn't know about it.
Ottawa students move the needle on keeping astronauts safe and healthy.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Prime Minister is standing by a Liberal MP who sources have told Global News is a witting affiliate in a Chinese government interference network. Justin Trudeau was asked today about a story Global News broke about Han Dong, the MP for Don Valley North. Sources within the Canadian Security Intelligence Service have told Global News the Liberal Party was warned about Han Dong's alleged connection with the Chinese government in advance of him being nominated as a Liberal candidate in 2019. Han Dong himself rejects the allegations, saying they are inaccurate and irresponsible. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson has our top story tonight.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau praised Liberal Member of Parliament Han Dong on Monday in Toronto after the MP faced explosive allegations connecting him to a foreign interference network, reported by Global News.
Let me say that we are extraordinarily lucky and happy to have a member of Parliament like Han Dong in our midst, serving his community.
Trudeau stood by the Ontario MP, dismissing any concerns about Dong.
I want to make everyone understand fully that Han Dong is an outstanding member of our team, and suggestions that he is somehow not loyal to Canada should not be entertained.
On Friday, Global News' Sam Cooper reported that intelligence sources allegedly approached senior Liberals during Dong's riding nomination process to warn them about Dong's alleged connections to the Chinese government in a highly unusual briefing, a meeting that sources say was scheduled 2 days before the nomination deadline. Today, the Prime Minister skirted questions about whether he or other senior Liberals were warned about Dong, but said any suggestion CSIS directed the Liberals to rescind Dong's nomination is not true. Global News did not suggest CSIS ordered the Liberal Party to axe Dong's nomination.
The suggestions we've seen in the media that CSIS would somehow say, no, this person can't run or that person can't run, is not just false, it's actually damaging to people's confidence in our democratic and political institutions.
Trudeau was emphatic in saying no intelligence briefing would dictate who parties choose to run in a democracy.
It is not up to unelected security officials to dictate to political parties who can or cannot run. That's a really important principle.
Dong posted a statement on Twitter stating he has the utmost regard for the integrity of Canada's democratic institutions and will refute what he called anonymous and unverified allegations, saying, I strongly reject the insinuations in the media reporting that allege I have played a role in offshore interference in these processes and will defend myself vigorously against such inaccurate and irresponsible claims that come from an unverified and anonymous source. Dong says he supports the parliamentary committee looking into foreign meddling. I will support all fact-based efforts from parliamentarians to investigate alleged offshore interference.
All right, Mercedes is with me now. Mercedes, what about a public inquiry? The NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, has added his voice to those who want one instead of hearing from anonymous sources and leaked documents. So will there be one?
Well, that's the big question here. And so far, we're not getting an answer that sounds particularly positive from the Prime Minister to move in that direction. He keeps citing the parliamentary committee that's in place, but a number of experts have suggested, including a former national security advisor to Prime Minister Trudeau, that it's simply too partisan of an environment in this Parliament to really seriously get to the bottom of something that deals with significant classified information. When the Prime Minister was asked about what his view was on calling an inquiry today, take a listen to what he had to say.
I think it's a really important and great thing that Canadians are so interested in ensuring that our principles of democracy and our practice of democracy continues to be protected from the ongoing interference as attempted by authoritarian governments around the world, whether it be China or other countries like it.
So, Donna, no commitment from the Prime Minister at this point, despite growing voices calling for it, including, as you mentioned, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. We spoke to Peter Julian today, who's an NDP MP. He says the NDP is not too impressed with how the Prime Minister is handling these allegations, and that's exactly why an inquiry is needed. Listen to this.
It seems to me that Mr. Trudeau is not responding in the way that he should as Prime Minister. He should be the first one stepping up and saying these allegations are serious, we need to have a national public inquiry.
Donna, what I found remarkable is that now some of Prime Minister Trudeau's most trusted advisors, including his former Principal Secretary Jerry Butts and Bruce Anderson, the pollster, have both stepped forward to say they believe that an inquiry is the only way to get to the bottom of this issue.
All right, Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa, thanks. The federal government is banning the video sharing platform TikTok from all federal government devices. The government says after a review, Canada's chief information officer determined TikTok's data collection presents an unacceptable level of risk to privacy and security. On Wednesday, the TikTok app will be removed and blocked from all government-issued mobile devices.
Certainly, I suspect that as government takes the significant step of telling all federal employees that they can no longer use TikTok on their work phones, many Canadians, from businesses to private individuals, will reflect on the security of their own data and perhaps make choices in consequence.
The U.S. government put in place a similar ban last year. TikTok is owned by Chinese parent company ByteDance. Canada's privacy commissioner is investigating whether TikTok complies with Canadian privacy laws. Israeli settlers have attacked Palestinian villages in the northern occupied West Bank. And according to Palestinian authorities, at least one man is dead, more than 100 injured. The settlers rampaged through the villages, burning and vandalizing dozens of homes and hundreds of vehicles. It is revenge after 2 settlers were killed by Palestinians on Saturday. Israel has moved in hundreds of extra troops. On Sunday, Israeli and Palestinian security officials met in Jordan for the first high-level talks in years aimed at calming tensions, but the situation on the ground is getting worse. Russia has launched a new wave of Iranian-made drones. Ukraine's military says it shot down 11 of the 14 drones, including 9 targeting the capital. This video shows one of Russia's drone strikes over Kyiv. Soldiers used a spotlight to scan the skies and shoot down the drones. Russian forces are keeping up their attacks and are closing in now on the city of Bakhmut in Ukraine's Donbas region, where both sides are fighting for every inch of territory. Crystal Gamansing reports.
Russia claims in the past 24 hours it's killed 250 Ukrainian service members around Donetsk. There's no doubt many who end up at this field hospital near Bakhmut are on the cusp. Before the full-scale invasion, we had 50 to 60 wounded in a 9-month rotation. Now sometimes we have more than that in a day. Russian separatists have controlled part of the Donetsk region since 2014. All of it now is contested, and Ukrainians are fighting in close proximity with invading forces. For 2 months, Russia has been driving to capture the eastern city of Bakhmut. Volodymyr Zelensky's office called it the hottest spot on the entire front line when he visited in December. Today, it is no less blistering. Ukraine is using infantry and artillery to hold its ground. But the full invasion is bleeding the country economically as well. It's estimated the country needs up to $57 billion in financial support. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen met with the president in Kyiv, handing over the first transfer of $1.25 billion, saying the money will keep critical services operating under extraordinary circumstances.
Attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure have caused many casualties and terrible suffering.
The UN Human Rights Commission is set to decide if the mandate of the investigative body examining atrocities in Ukraine should be extended. Russia was suspended from the UNHRC in April, but on Thursday, the Deputy Foreign Minister will address the committee. Crystal Gamansing, Global News, London.
Almost 7 years after the UK voted to leave the European Union, a festering dispute over trade rules for Northern Ireland appears to finally be resolved. Britain and the EU have reached a deal over the politically sensitive land border crossing between Ireland and Northern Ireland. Redmond Shannon explains what the deal means and why it matters.
An audience with King Charles for the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Despite the monarch being above politics, these pictures are perhaps part of the process to mend a relationship shredded by Brexit.
This new framework will allow us to begin a new chapter.
The new post-Brexit proposal is designed to tweak the status of Northern Ireland after an older deal brokered under former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Under those terms, the UK territory effectively remained inside the EU for trade to keep its land border with the Republic of Ireland open. That means some customs checks take place on trade into Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. It also gave the European Court of Justice jurisdiction in Northern Ireland, unacceptable to pro-British unionists there who have boycotted Northern Ireland's parliament. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says the new deal fixes the issues.
We can now say that goods will flow freely, smoothly across the UK internal market, that we've protected Northern Ireland's place in our union.
The joint news conference remarkable in its warmth and positivity after years of verbal darts across the English Channel.
We also both knew, dear Rishi, that we could do it.
The details are complex, nailed down without the pressure of the hard deadline like in 2020.
Serious thought about stuff, talking to people in a reasonable way rather than using a loud hailer actually works. That's why I think this is a very significant moment.
MPs, including Sunak's hardline Tories and the sceptical Northern Irish Unionists, will now take time to consider the deal before voting on it. Whatever happens next, the scars of the continent's messy divorce appear to be healing. Donna?
Okay, Redmond Shannon in London, thanks. A stormy situation in the U.S. Coming up, the severe weather systems wreaking havoc across America. Plus, stepping down, Canada Soccer's president bows to public pressure. The president of Canada Soccer, the sport's governing body, has resigned. Nick Bontis says there is potential for the national men's and women's teams to sign new collective agreements, but he says the moment requires change at the top. Both national teams had called for a change in leadership, and 13 provincial and territorial soccer federations had also called on him to step down. Tonight, parts of southern Ontario and Quebec are under winter weather warnings, bracing for more fierce wind, freezing rain and snow. Extreme cold is expected in Newfoundland and Labrador as well. South of the border, powerful storms are bringing everything from heavy snow to mudslides, even tornadoes. From California to Michigan, some 250,000 homes and businesses are still without power. As Jackson Prosco reports, even more wild weather is forecast.
What in the world is that?
Unusual in its timing and ferocity, this February outbreak of violent weather saw at least 8 tornadoes touch down in Oklahoma alone, a record for the month.
We heard 2 large thumps, and then the moment we heard that, my daughter covered her head and her back window busted out behind her head.
More than a dozen people were injured in the city of Norman, Oklahoma. Witnesses say the storms came on suddenly and there was little time to prepare.
All of a sudden, it felt like a bomb hit outside or something. The whole house kind of shifted and the garage moved.
Entire neighborhoods were decimated, with cars tossed around like toys and buildings shredded by the ferocious wind.
Look at all those horses, and they're okay. Wow.
Roofs were ripped clean off of buildings, leaving only walls behind. Elsewhere, the storms brought golf ball-size hail. In parts of Texas and New Mexico, gritty dust storms swept across the plains, along with howling wind. Gusts topped 160 kilometers per hour. In California, that same system blanketed the mountains in historic amounts of snow, more powder than New York has seen all winter.
Never seen this much snow come down this long, this hard, since 31 years.
More than 2 meters of snow fell over the weekend, with whiteout conditions expected in the coming days. Yosemite National Park is closed until at least Wednesday. All of it a wild closing act in the last month of this topsy-turvy winter, a season that shattered records and expectations. Jackson Prosco, Global News.
Risk assessment ahead: how artificial intelligence could help predict responses to opioid prescriptions. Alberta is the latest province to have signed on to the federal government's healthcare funding deal. Alberta will get more than $24 billion for its healthcare system over the next 10 years. That includes an immediate $233 million top-up to the Canada Health Transfer to address urgent needs. Alberta is the 7th province to sign the agreement in principle with Ottawa. British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and the Territories have yet to reach a deal. Researchers in Alberta have a new tool which could help doctors better predict which patients might have adverse outcomes if they are prescribed opioids. The new predictive model uses artificial intelligence. Catherine Ward explains how it works and how it could be applied to patients.
I literally did almost fall out of my chair. I was pleased. We didn't expect it to work.
Crystal balls do not exist when it comes to medicine, but machine learning might be the next best thing.
AI can really be thought of as a prediction tool. And that's essentially what we're trying to do right now, is we're trying to make predictions.
For 2 years, researchers in Alberta created a model tracking data already being collected about opioid prescriptions and adverse events. They looked at anonymized records for more than 853,000 Albertans in 2018 and 2019. In that span, more than 6.1 million opioid prescriptions were filled. In that same time, more than 77,000 adverse events were reported.
The patients who end up going to emergency departments, who end up getting hospitalized, as well as who die. So there's mortality data, discharge data.
The model was able to follow trends and with roughly 90% accuracy could
predict someone's risk of being hospitalized within 30 days of getting an opioid.
So we know that opioids are high-risk medications. They are necessary and essential medications.
Instead, they hope the model is another screening tool that can improve patient care.
This is another decision aid that a clinician can use to take care, or to maybe alter the types of medications offered, to maybe look for alternatives.
Experts say it's only the beginning when it comes to seeing how technology like this can be leveraged.
The horse is out of the barn with the applications of AI in the healthcare space, just as in other areas. I think we would be doing ourselves an injustice not capitalizing on the opportunity here and using this methodology within healthcare as well.
Researchers say the next phase is to figure out what's needed to implement the tool more widely so doctors can access the model. How that will work exactly is still under evaluation. Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Send it to space. Next, the elementary school students who helped NASA make a groundbreaking discovery. A group of elementary school students in Ottawa has made a remarkable discovery. They sent an EpiPen into space as part of a NASA experiment. The point was to find out if the pen that treats potentially fatal allergies would work in space. What they learned not only impressed scientists, it has real implications for astronaut safety. Turia Isri explains.
What do we need to get done next for Cubes in Space?
In this Ottawa science class, the sky is not the limit. It's the starting point.
Can you just put your computers in politeness mode for a moment?
These grade 4 to 6 students at St. Brother Andre Elementary School are in a gifted program.
Send 2 different things, like a vial of it with water and then like a vial of it with like Demeron around it.
They're part of a NASA research initiative helping kids launch experiments in space. And these 9 to 11-year-olds are thinking way outside the box.
To find out that scientists that have been working for years and years and years on this haven't discovered something, and then us elementary school kids discover it, it's really cool.
The discovery began with a common medical tool found in schools across the country, the EpiPen, an injectable device that delivers a life-saving drug and reverses the effects of severe allergies. The students had a question: would an EpiPen still work in space?
It was pretty cool because we think that NASA didn't know about it.
They put samples in tiny cubes sent on board a NASA rocket and balloon. Once the cubes returned to Earth, their contents were brought here, to the University of Ottawa, where scientists made a remarkable discovery in the lab.
The first part of doing science is asking the right question, and they asked a fantastic question.
The answer stunned career chemists. The active ingredient in EpiPens no longer worked. In fact, it became poisonous.
There's an interaction with the cosmic radiation that comes when you leave the atmosphere.
We were just like kind of in the background, just smiling at each other and being like, yes.
Next, the students will travel to Virginia in June and present their findings to NASA.
The students are very forward-thinking. They're already anticipating people going to the moon and then beyond and colonizing Mars.
They're also eyeing careers in rocket science.
You feel like you're making a real change because a lot of the times it feels like it's just adults.
And all the molecules. High achievers with curiosity that knows no bounds. Taria Isri, Global News, Ottawa.
Amazing stuff. That is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is the 50-point conservation area in Hamilton, Ontario. We'd love to see your Canada. Please email it to viewers@globalnational.com. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.